Welcome, everybody. I hope that you make yourself comfortable. We are going to start in just about 1 minute. Yes, it is so great to see so many people coming into the phone call. All right, how about we get started? Welcome, everybody. My name is Andrea Montiel de Shuman. This is my second year as program co-chair, and I am delighted to introduce you to the other three facilitators of this phone call, my colleagues and co-chairs. Let's start with Andrea Ledezma.
I was on mute, so everyone gets that square for the day. My name is Andrea Ledezma. I use she, her pronouns, and this is my second year and last year as conference co-chair, which is so exciting and thrilling to think about. As my day job, I work as the digital product specialist at the Field Museum, and if not working on things related to museums or spending a lot of time on the internet, I cook and watch Bob's Burgers a lot. So that's where you will find me. Meredith, would you like to go next?
Sure. My name is Meredith Steinfels. I use she, her pronouns. I am a first year co-chair. So this means that I should be seeing all of you in 2021, hopefully in Baltimore. My day job is the Assistant Director, Digital Platforms, Media and Archives at the Hood Museum of Art, Dartmouth. And I also love Bob's Burgers, so thank you for that, Andrea.
Hi, my name is Mimosa Shah. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am delighted to be serving as a conference program co-chair. This is my first year. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in Baltimore in 2021, fingers crossed. And as far as my day job goes, I am the adult program coordinator at Skokie Public Library, located just north of Chicago, Illinois, where for the past 6 years, I have coordinated public programs, anywhere from a workshop to a demonstration to a presentation and more for adults. And I also am a graduate student at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign School of Information Sciences, where I recently started my master's degree for library and information sciences. I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you over this coming week. And I want to emphasize too that this is not just about our professional interests, but also our full selves. And I will say that I am a big karaoke fan, and I really hope that you all do your best, your darndest to sign up and share your love of all things musical.
Thank you so much. How about we revise the agenda for today? So just an FYI, you will have access to the recording of this session. It is going to be recorded and is going to be uploaded in the blog that some of you have seen by now, which is called How to MCN Virtual. Could we change the slide to next? Okay, so you will have access, and one of the things that I want to point you to is in the corner of your screen, of the Zoom screen, you will see a button that says in red live. So that is a link that you are going to love for the sake of accessibility. And I ask you to please consider using it. So if you click on that, or you can also click, I'm going to, if you click on it, you will see a separate page. And in that separate page, you will see the translation of what I'm speaking, the transcription of what I'm saying. It's a pretty awesome transcription. We're using the service otter.ai. So please have it in mind in any presentation that you are part of. But before we even dive into the program, I definitely want to take time to make a land acknowledgement. I know that doing a virtual land acknowledgement is a little different, but we were really lucky to find the right language, and let's do this together. Instead of being a customary or performative statement, there is an obligation and commitment that should be made in these acknowledgements. As we are stretched across North America, and may those joining from across the world, instead of creating one statement, we urge taking direct action to support Indigenous rights and culture. We encourage you to think about who has been forcibly removed from the land and that you currently inhabit, how you benefit from the resources that were once cultivated by other Indigenous persons, and to recognize where the descendants of these groups now reside and thrive in spite of the violence committed upon them. It is true that all governments in North America committed atrocities against Indigenous, Native American, and First Nations peoples. Despite the theft of this land and in this Indigenous land, it is true that Indigenous people are part of our present and future, and we should remember that our history includes those of us who were kidnapped and brought here by the name of in the name of colonization and imperialism. We need to learn, protect, and honor the history and people of the places we each individually live in. We honor the lives of those who endure and continue to endure the face of settled colonial oppression and white supremacy. And by the way, we will definitely post more resources on our Slack channel. We hope the presenters can know how to create land acknowledgements and honor those. And also talk more about the further work that needs to be done. All right, I cannot believe that we are here. And before we even get started, I want to thank everybody that has participated in the creation at all levels of volunteers. We simply cannot do any of this without you. And as you know, the MCN experience of this year had to be rethought. So we are in the midst of a pandemic, and the dreams of what we had for MCN had to be reimagined. And it has been a pleasure to collaborate with my colleagues, different members of the board, co-chairs, and the many members of the committee into reimagine this experience. We consider a few things. Okay, we had about 7 months to put together a conference. There was a lot going on in the world. What I'm proud is that we took in mind considerations of what you are living right now. We know that you're not just in the computer in front of your house. You are in the middle of a global pandemic. So we wanted to consider these aspects in creating an experience that will give you a break from the realities that we're experiencing, but also for you to find healing, companionship, and the resources that you want to move forward. So we've created different layers of this experience, and I cannot wait for you to be introduced to how we definitely reimagine Museum Computer Network for this year. Ledesma, would you like to introduce the schedule for us?
I would love to. So in the next 6 days, we have 77 sessions scheduled, which is amazing. And as you likely saw in the program and on SCED, there are a number of types of sessions. I'm just going to walk you through them really quickly. Presentation panels are a bulk of our sessions. They are 60-minute webinars with our panelists, often with an audience Q&A. And they explore a range of topics in museum technology. Presenter Q&As are rethought this year for the virtual format. In MCN's past, we've had 30-minute presentations, often in a case study model, and we're still hosting those this year, but they are made available as 30-minute recordings of sessions. You can access these anytime when in SCED, but we will also have live Q&As with those presenters that will allow you to connect with them in real time in a moderated conversation. We also have experimental sessions, which we put out a call for as other during the call for proposals, which is always fun. These range in times from like 60 to 90 minutes. The one that I always think of is our Animal Crossing session, and Mimosa is hosting an empathy jam. So I would encourage you to look at those sessions and read the description carefully to see what's in store. One of those experimental sessions is Ignite as well, which is always a favorite MCN experience. In that session, we have a number of speakers who are going to have 5 minutes to run through 20 slides to give their hottest takes and biggest ideas. Meredith Steinfels on this call is one of those. That is scheduled for today at 5 Eastern, and it's formatted as a watch party. So you can go on and cheer on our participants and sort of comment on what you're seeing. It's going to be a lot of fun. We also have a number of limited capacity sessions. These are marked as such in SCED. The first is speed networking. Peppered throughout the week are a handful of 30-minute speed networking sessions, which you will participate in breakout rooms to meet other attendees. You have to add these to your schedule to get the link. And again, they are limited in capacity. So please sign up for your preferred session. Workshops and deep dives are long form sessions taking about 90 minutes to 2 hours. Again, these are also limited capacity. With a workshop, you had to register in advance through Eventbrite. For a deep dive, you had to add it to your schedule, and only confirmed attendees in SCED will have access to these links. Fortunately, SCED manages a wait list really, so as spots are made available, you will receive email if you are pulled off the list. Our sponsors this year are also hosting a sponsor hours to provide a deeper look at their products. So please check those on as well in the schedule. We have a number of MCN community sessions like this one and our forthcoming opening remarks that will just allow MCN to learn from and listen to its members and the community. I also wanted to flag for you their Chatham House rules. Very generally, stories stay, lessons leave. These sessions are held in confidence and in order to promote open and generous dialogue. And usually when we're on site, this means closed doors, laptops put away, phones put down. It's a little harder to do when we're all in Zoom. So this year we're committing to not recording these sessions. The live captions and the chat transcripts will not be saved, and there will be limited chat capabilities for these sessions. So please note that, but all sessions that are not Chatham House rules will be recorded and made available for attendees after the conference wraps. But MCN is not just its sessions, it's the friends we make along the way. I think a lot of us were doing this on Slack this morning. So I just wanted to remind you that if you do connect with other attendees, check us out on Twitter, #2020, always a lively conversation. And this year we're using Slack to serve as the hallways for conference. There are a number of channels made to specifically connect folks. There's one MCN 2020-meetups that we're encouraging people to funnel self-organized sessions into there. If you're having trouble accessing these private channels, please ping us on help desk and we'll get you added. And just a reminder too, it's always okay to go offline. We designed the schedule in a way that we're concentrating most of the active conference hours in a half day and providing as much break time as we can between sessions. We know we're managing a lot beyond just getting on Zoom and watching a webinar. So please take the time you need to grab some water, recharge yourself and your device, and come back the next day ready to join us. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Meredith to walk us through the specifics of how to MCN virtual.
How to MCN virtual, which is the proper grammar for that. So now that you're familiar with the schedule, let's dive into how to interact with it. The main platforms we're using are Zoom, SCED, and Slack, but obviously you can spin up something else and we can go into that later. We have integrated Zoom with otter.ai to provide closed captions. So you can click on CC and Zoom in the bottom corner, or if you want faster transcriptions, a link is going to be provided for each individual session for the captions to appear in another window. And I believe earlier in the chat, Anna or maybe Carolyn posted a little bit about that. We will also have live cart, which is human generated transcriptions available for the opening and closing remarks for Ignite and for the plenary panel, Making the Digital Future. You will receive a daily email with the overview of each session for that day. The link is going to be released via email and via SCED about 10 minutes before the session will start. And don't reshare it. Please don't reshare it, because if it's Zoom bombed, the session's probably over, and I'll address that more later. Seriously, don't share links. Just don't, please. We want this to go well.
I should add that if you are having trouble accessing the links, please ping us on Slack and we will help you out finding those.
So SCED, which I am labeling as the neural hub of the program. SCED includes links to the main program and highlighted sessions, including any pre-recorded sessions. You will need to be logged into your SCED account and add the session to your personal calendar to access the presentation links. It's pretty easy, just click the button. links, like I said, they will appear 10 minutes before the session begins, including a session reminder email. For those of you who need to use a screen reader or are struggling with the web-based interface, the iOS app is a little bit more intuitive, and I believe it is a little bit more cooperative with screen readers. For those who are trying to register for limited capacity sessions, you will need to add that to your schedule via Sched. Included in limited capacity sessions are deep dives, workshops, speed networking, virtual field trips, and again, you will have a little tag in the corner that says limited capacity. Just again, to sign up, you just add it to your personal schedule. And then if you have signed up but you don't get the link that you need, you can either Slack us at MCN 2020 Help Desk or email virtual2020@mcn.edu. So Slack, sort of like the hallways, and actually based on this morning, it is the hallways. This was awesome. So for this conference, we're going to be using all channels that start with MCN 2020. These are open only to conference attendees. And so at the end of the conference, they will be archived. However, Slack is open year round. So we encourage everybody to, after the conference, continue to connect and talk to us as administrators if you want to spin up a specific channel within the MCN, the greater MCN Slack. All conference attendees should have been added to the available MCN 2020 channels. And if you didn't receive an invitation, check your spam folder, and then again, also email us 2020virtual@mcn.edu. You can either access Slack through your browser or the desktop app. And if you are having tech problems, we have a solution. Just use the MCN 2020 Help Desk channel, and we have volunteers and conference managers, and all of us will be monitoring Slack. If you were added to a channel and you don't want to be in it, just leave. It's cool. You don't have to participate. It's opt-in. And for self-organizing, which is sort of the fun stuff that usually happens, like IRL, going to a bar, going to a restaurant, or all the other hallway interactions. Again, we had a blog post on October 16th that talks about, oh, thank you, Courtney. October 16th blog post that talks about sort of accessibility and creating how-tos. You can find a buddy or buddies using the MCN 2020 Meetups channel. Remember that while you are the one creating the links and it's sort of external to the greater MCN program, the MCN code of conduct still applies. And so that when you are creating these off the book social encounters, that you think about the safety and accessibility for all of your fellow attendees. So just keep the conversation going. Again, Slack is our hallways. You can introduce yourself in MCN 2020 introductions, share your animal buddies, which everybody has been doing. And if you want to see my dog scroll up pretty high, I think I posted him yesterday. He has one eye and he's super cute. Contribute your favorite recipe in MCN 2020 Cooks. There's general channels for conversations and updates. Like I said, there's a meetup channel for coffee breaks or knitting circles. And if you want to knit with somebody, just DM me, I'm here. And other more spontaneous social experiences. If you are a Twitter user, the hashtag is MCN 2020. For speakers, please show up to your session at least 15 minutes early so Carolyn, Anna, and all the other facilitators don't have to hunt you down. You will either be emailed or have been emailed links to your sessions. The links are specific to your individual login. So if you as a presenter lose your link, one of your co-presenters cannot share theirs with you. You will have to receive your personal link again. If you are a presenter for a webinar or an MC or facilitator for a webinar, you will also be sent a Google Calendar link ahead of time just to troubleshoot any issues. Again, if you are Zoom bombed, the session is going to be shut down immediately. We will try our best to reschedule if the Zoom bomb happens early on. We can't make any promises, but we will try. However, if it's sort of later on, unfortunately, that's it. So again, please don't share links. And last, let's just be patient with ourselves. This is new for us too. Even with months of preparation and sort of watching the pandemic and researching other virtual conferences, we're still going into the unknown. We'll hit technical snafus, our internet might drop out, there's gonna be cats wandering across people's keyboards. So I just urge everybody to give ourselves some grace and just embrace how new and weird this format is. And again, our door is always open. If you need help, just ask. We have a ready team of volunteers to assist you, and you can also reach out to other attendees.
Hi, everyone. So we believe that conferences should be accessible, inclusive, and engaging. We are creating space for sharing ideas and making connections and having fun. And in order to optimize these spaces, we require all conference attendees to observe our code of conduct and community guidelines. Both the code of conduct and community guidelines can be found on the MCN website. We link to these documents in the pinned section at the top of the MCN 2020 Help Desk channel too, if you want to refer to them. Some quick notes on how to be welcoming. We want to make sure this is a safe, respectful, accessible space for all. The Code of Conduct is a living document that MCN regularly revisits. We are unwavering when we say that MCN does not tolerate harassment or discrimination in any form. We have a responsibility to help each other feel welcome, included, and as much as possible safe throughout the conference and events. In the Code of Conduct, we have the expectation that all conference participants, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, race, or religion, can expect the event space and conference experience to be safe and free from harassment. We incorporate everyone with this code of conduct, which means that attendees, speakers, staff, organizers, contractors, volunteers, scholars, exhibitors, and sponsors are included in this. If you are involved with an incident, we encourage you to submit information at a name optional code of conduct violation report form. And I also encourage you are welcome to DM me. I am happy to be of assistance if such a situation does occur. And then as far as our community guidelines go, going virtual means we need to spend a little extra effort in order to be kind and gracious to one another amidst an environment that hasn't been historically friendly to folks who are historically marginalized or from underrepresented groups. Let's recognize that we encompass different backgrounds and perspectives and that these differences do not divide us. In a recognition that our community is diverse, we encourage dialogue and conversation, and we encourage social media platforms to be an open and honest forum for that. And with that said, we emphasize that individuals incorporate that intention to be courteous and positive, to create posts that are relevant to the MCN community, to be mindful of accountability and compassion when connecting, to uplift each other and approach our conversations with genuine curiosity. And above all, recognize we all have a lot of different experiences and multitudes, and our identities inform how we engage with the world. We commit to keeping MCN's online forums and their conversations collegial and affirming. And I want to stress that we will remove content that is violent, obscene, profane, hateful, or racist. We will also be vigilant about confronting any solicitations, advertisements, or endorsements. And more about our community guidelines can be found on MCN's website.
One last plug before we move into Q&A. As we mentioned, karaoke is happening. Time-honored on-site tradition going online November 18th. So that's next week at 8 p.m. Eastern. Here is the link if you're interested in registering. Also some fun links to drop in there for asynchronous activities. Many thanks to Mimosa and Montiel for creating the Museum Chill Network, which is a batch of articles, links, and tips and tricks for sort of decompressing and relaxing while you're in between Zooms. We have a cookbook going for the Museum Cooking Network, and I'm hoping to share those recipes by the end of the day today, but it will always be open to submissions. And Meredith is helping host the MCN scavenger hunt. So if you're interested in signing up, those close today at 4. And with that, we just wanted to say again, thank you to everyone who's helping us make this conference happen, both to our team of volunteers and conference team, as well as our sponsors. So that closes out our prepared remarks for this session. If anyone has any questions, please drop them in the Q&A, and I believe Montiel will be answering that and pulling questions for us to answer in real time for the remainder of the session. So ask away.
All right, the first question from Rachel was if the hashtag MCN 2020 help desk Slack channel isn't available, are there any other ways? Yes, you can definitely email directly to 2020virtual@mcn.edu. Are there any other questions that we can address? Oh, this is awesome. Yeah, well, let us know if we're still gonna stay open for some questions, but in the meantime, I definitely wanted to remind everybody that although this is a different MCN, we really put effort and hoping that you can still find this time fulfilling and wonderful, and also to keep our eyes on the mission of MCN, but at the end of the day is to grow the digital capacity of museum professionals by connecting them to ideas, information, opportunities, proven practices, and each other.
Montiel, before we log off, I think we have a few more questions in the Q&A.
Next question. After sessions are recorded, will they be available for us to watch via SCED? Eventually, yes. We don't have a very specific timeline of how soon, but as soon as we have them available, they will be available in SCED. I don't know if any of the co-chairs or conference managers would like to add to that.
Yeah, so we are recording them so long as they're not Chatham House rules. It will take us some time to process the files, just doing some quality check and making sure that the transcripts and captions are okay, but we will endeavor to have those available to attendees as soon as we can. But yeah, no clear timeline just yet, but you will be able to access them again through SCED after the conference wraps. I would also encourage you to sometimes, I say this as myself as a speaker who will be doing the same, often speakers share slide decks or are really generous with creating a copy. So if you would like to save some of those materials or are curious, I would reach out to the panelists, or they often share them on Twitter or on Slack after the session wraps.
The next question, how do we know that sessions will be recorded and which are not? I think that Ledesma, you covered it really nicely. The baseline is whether or not it has Chatham House rules. Next question, how many of you organize all of this in general? Ooh, how many people are there? So I'm gonna say more than 50, but please, if somebody has a much more accurate number, please mention it.
Is it cheesy to say that everyone had a hand in it? We only put out the call for proposals, and we work really closely with our conference program and our volunteers to put this together, but really, like, we can't make this happen without you all, like, bringing your ideas and your creativity to the conference and making the program. Generally, the program committee is at least 30 people strong. This year is the first, I think we've had 4 co-chairs. We have our conference team and MCN's board on hand, so it really does take a village.
Thank you to each one of you. Will workshops be recorded? I believe that if there's no Chatham House rules, is that correct? I think so. Okay, can you give a quick rundown on how to connect to the MCN Slack channel? So you should have received an email, but if you did not, I think you can also email 2020 virtual. Are there any other ways that the co-chairs or project or conference managers that would like to see action taken on this?
Yeah, so we are importing new members to Slack every morning, at least at 9 a.m. The way that we're essentially pulling registrants from SCED into it, and we know people are sort of registering over time. When you're added to the workspace, you should also be added to those private channels as well. I think as Meredith mentioned and Courtney mentioned, you can always pull yourself out of them or mute the channels if there are too many notifications. If you are running into trouble, feel free to just like ping us and we'll add you into those channels. We're working through it right now, but yes, if you are having trouble with that, email us. We're sort of watching all the channels for questions right now, but Slack is really the quickest way to get help. So we're hoping that everyone is in there when they need to be.
Thank you for that. If we wanted to have a post-session Q&A on Slack, are we allowed to make a Slack channel or then under our session title? Maybe conference managers?
Slack channels currently can only be created by admins. We might reevaluate that because I know some folks have come in with requests for channels. I think if you are interested, ping us on the help desk channel that you would like to do so. Let us know what the channel needs to be named, who needs to be involved, and the purpose of it, and then we'll get a Slack admin on it to create it.
Are there any other questions that we can answer for you?
It looks like Carolyn has an answer for Kelsey. Carolyn, did you want to jump in?
All right. Okay, how about one last call for questions before we close the session? All right. Well, this has been an awesome time. I hope that you have, you feel more comfortable, more ready to engage in MCN virtual. I am just elated that we are here. I hope that you can connect with us also through the Slack channels. I've been posting photos of my pets and I've been enjoying a lot of pet photos so far. So please, you know now how to reach us and you can watch the recording. That's a reminder that you will be able to watch this recording and you can share it with others that didn't have a chance to watch. But once again, we thank each one of you that are making this possible. It is an honor and I am excited. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful time.
Yeah, thank you. So see you soon for the opening remarks from Eric Longo, our Executive Director, and Matt Tarr, MCN President. That's happening at 12:30 Eastern. So we'll see you after.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everybody.